Hey, happy Tuesday. This is your first lesson in topic 11 of the math. And this topic says subtract within 1,000 using models and strategies. So remember how last time we were doing this with addition and we were adding and subtracting tens and hundreds to start. And I was using my saltine crackers and my little pretzel pieces or those little sticks that we use for making candy pops. And I was also using Cheerios for ones. Remember that? This is the same, only instead of adding, we're going to be subtracting. So today's lesson, what we're going to do is just talk about how in lesson 11-1, you are going to be subtracting 10 or subtracting 100. Now, remember that I gave you some different numbers before and we were able to kind of just look at the number. You could find the 10 space, and then if you're subtracting this time a 10, you would obviously take 1 away from the 10's place. Okay, so if you would open your book to 11-1, and this is on page 637. So if you don't have your math book ready, it's a good time to pause the video, go get your math book and a pencil, and open up to page 637. If you are already on page 637, I'm going to write a problem up on the board, and let's just see how you do with this, okay? So it says 456 minus 10, and then 456 minus 100. So bear with me. Okay, so we've got both of those numbers there, and if we're working with minus 10 first, if we're subtracting tens, we're going to go to the tens place. So in 456, which one is the tens? That would be this one right here. Okay, so 10 less, if we're going to subtract 1 from the tens place, that's going to give you which digit in that spot? A 4. So the answer for this one would be 446, because all we did is take a 10 away from that tens place. Now you have 456, and we want to subtract a 100. So now you need to find the 100's place in this. The 100's place in 456 is the 4, which stands for the 400, okay? So now you're going to take away one of those. If you take 1 away from 4, you're left with 3. So your new number will be 356, okay? I don't think this will be too challenging for most of you. So if you go on and you try some of the guided practice and you try some of the independent practice for this lesson, and I am doing a math meet. If you're looking at this before 10 a.m. on Tuesday at 10 a.m., I've advertised that I will do a math meet for anybody that wants to get together to do math at that time. Later in the week, if you're doing math and you want to do a lesson with me or just check in to see if your work is done correctly, you're free to do that. All you have to do is have your parents contact me and we'll set up a time to meet. You just have to avoid the Friday at 10 because that's when we're all together, okay? So in the independent practice, you'll notice that there are some times where problems where you will have a square where the number has to go. And it's always under the word algebra. And you've probably looked at that word 100 times and just not sure. You always have questions, boys and girls, about that spot. I don't know what it is about it, but somehow you always have questions about that. So let's look at number, let's look at number 14, and I'm going to copy it onto the board behind me here. But if you're in your book under independent practice, let me just show you how these work, okay? So again, bear with me, back and forth here. 362. And 62 minus, and then they give us this box. Okay, making sure I copied it correctly because teachers make mistakes too. Equals 352. Okay, so So in order to do this problem and figure out what goes here, I'm going to look at these two numbers for a minute. This number, this digit in both of these numbers is the same, okay? This is 362, this is 352. So that's the same. So it's not going to be a 100, is it? 6 and 5. What do you know about those numbers? They're not the same. And they're how far apart? They're 1 apart by digit, but they're both in the tens place. So I know it's going to stand for 110. So this answer will be 10. And in order to check that, I can just think about this. 352. If I added a 10 to that, it would give me 362. Remember where we had to do some addition to be able to check our subtraction? And you can also use subtraction to check your addition. This is one of those cases where I just kind of did that. We're headed into a lot of different things you can do with mental math. And once you know your tens and 100s, it makes life a lot easier when it comes to problems like this. Okay, so that was number 14 in your book. So everybody can write down the answer for number 14 because you just did it with me. It's right here, right? 362 minus 10, and you're writing the 10 inside the box, equals 352. Okay, so as far as today's lesson goes, this is what you are doing. You are going through some of the independent practice, and you're trying to do those and have parents check them. Okay, so you're not doing every single problem. You don't need to do every single problem. And if mom and dad check a couple and they say you are on the right track, then don't worry about practicing anymore because that means you have mastered the skill. So the rest of today, what I want you to do for math beyond this, you can't just do the problem like we just did together because that's not practicing independently, is it? That's really guided practice, okay? So you need to do some on your own today, but then you're gonna skip ahead, I think, let me just check my notes here, 679, and I'm just gonna move to that page in mine as well. I know you're thinking it's way far ahead in your book, but there's a reason why I want you to do this today. Okay, so in your book, it's a game, and I know you love those games. So it's an orange page. It's page 679. Go ahead and find it. It says you need a partner to do this, but you can also do it on your own. So you're not required to play this game with someone else, although you can, and that would be really fun. But this is a good way to just follow the sums and differences that are even numbers. So there's a lot of past practice here. You are trying to add or subtract quickly, and you are making a path through the game based on whether it is odd or even, and it tells you that they want you to make the path of even numbers. Okay, so for today, what you are practicing is 11-1, and you are doing the fluency practice activity on page 679. And I'll check in with you tomorrow so we can do another section of your math. But I will tell you, don't work ahead. You hear me? Don't work ahead, because I'm skipping some of the lessons in this unit. You'll thank me later.